are ending up. Now notice where these lines are ending up. A very large went down here to South America, but look at the lines up here where the United States. The lines are very, very thin. And they're thin because there were not that many Africans that were brought directly to the United States. There wasn't that many at all. Now this is a chart here. We got it from slavevoyages.org, which is a website that Emory University, which is one of those Ivy League schools that is down in Atlanta, that has participated with them in a lot of different companies to try to get down to the facts of the slave trade and of the transatlantic slave trade. These numbers have changed. If I had shown you a chart from when I first went there, these numbers here, which is the total number, they have 12 million here to 12 million slaves that were brought from Africa. On the first chart, they only had 9 million. So that number has gotten bigger. And another number is this number right here, which is showing the United States and the numbers that came to the United States. At first, these numbers were close to 500,000. They had them down to 300,000. Only 300,000 Africans were brought to the United States. Now, it's like, well, wait a minute, why are they, why do we get confused about these numbers? Well, one thing is, again, is the wordplay. They will say, oh, 12 million slaves were brought to the Americas, or were brought to America. And that is true. 12 million slaves were brought to America. But we have to understand that America and the United States is two different things. Two different things. Notice where they have them. At almost 1 million slaves in the United States in 1800. Now remember, only 193,000 from the beginning of them bringing them here, over 100 years. And, but still, this is the number that they have. I'll say that's close to about 900,000, all right? But remember that from 1800 to 1866, that only 100,000 slaves were brought. But look at the number, 4 million slaves. Where did that number come from? And remember, most of the slave trade were African males. Who were they mating with? They were mating with the indigenous people because, again, when the females were coming over, they had to acclimate to they're riding on a boat for 3 months, which is going to knock your system totally out of whack. Okay, and most of the females, when they came over, they were not able to bear children. That's what happened in the other countries, all right? That's why they had to keep bringing slaves into the other countries. They weren't doing what the United States was doing. The United States was making sure that they had a slave population by creating that slave population, which is what they did, by blending these African people in with the Native Americans. The Native Americans didn't have any problem with it. Showing these people, they said the early humans left out of here around 100,000 years ago. They reached Asia, let's say around 50,000 years ago. They venture on down to Australia, which is 40,000 years ago. And then they say on across Beringia, okay, it is a strait now, but back then it was a entire landmass. So these lines here are the lines of what the landmass was, and that was all ice. Okay, so when the ice melted, the ice caps melted, and then it exposed the land, and so now that's why that's a strait now. But it was a land bridge at that time. And then, so of course, you're coming on into the Americas. Notice they have, by 12,000, they've gotten down past the ice caps into the Americas, and then on down and into South America by 10,000 or 11,000 years ago. Okay, now, this is a theory that they have developed. Again, it has been told over and over and over again. This is the story that we have heard. However, guess what? There are some problems with this. First, again, there's the Beringia. They had them coming across, and they said that there was a little land bridge that was an ice-free corridor, made it down into here. And this is an area, Folsom and Clovis is in New Mexico, and this is an area where they first started finding Native American tools. Okay, so they named the tools their Clovis tools. And then they called the first people Clovis people. Now again, these are people that first arrived across the Bering Strait. However, again, now these are some of the tools that they had. These, again, were called Clovis points. Now the problem is that they have run into points or tools that are older than Clovis. Most of these points are on